Hi everyone, welcome to Self Improvement. Today guest we have Jody Ellis. Jody is the CEO, founder of Investor Center. As a CEO, Jody is busy, but he always finds time for himself to work on his mental and spiritual side, to manage stress and achieve the balance between work and life. He is here to share with us some information about transcendental meditations, yoga, and visualizations.
Thank you so much, Jody, for doing the interview with us today.
Thanks, Vivian. No problem.
Thank you. Can you introduce yourself, what you do?
My name's Jody Ellis. I'm a professional stock market analyst. I'm an independent analyst specialising in index futures and index behaviour. And I provide corporate opinions to banks, a number of brokerages and a couple of government institutions. And I have about 400 retail clients as well.
Do you still do workshops?
I do. I teach people how to trade in the marketplace. Yeah, so stock market, introduction to stock market stuff. And I also do, because I specialise in indexes, I do index insurance for portfolios and superannuation. And I teach people how to trade on the index on a daily basis.
You're a very busy man.
Well, I've been doing it for a long time, so it's not as busy as it seems.
Can you tell me how you got introduced into meditations and how long ago was that?
Okay, so prior to the Johnny Young Talent School that my mother ran, she had a production company, Jody Ellis Productions, and they used to do acting courses, and part of that was visualization and meditation. Didn't have a big effect on me. That was in the early 80s. I was in my early 20s, and it was sort of something of interest. But I developed a technique from that had to do with how I visualized living things around me. And then in 2001, in a completely different area, we were involved very heavily with the stock market and public companies. And the public company that we were with, OTS, had a lot of the people that we were working with were very stressed. And so as part of workplace health and safety, they offered a transcendental meditation course, which is normally quite expensive, but run by a professional certified meditation expert. And she'd spent 3 years in India studying. She was Australian, but she'd spent 3 years in India studying transcendental meditation, came over here and worked for corporate enterprises. And it was an optional thing for us as an employment area. And I don't actually think it was meant for me. I think it was supposed to be for the frontline workers. I was in upper management. But I thought this looks like a great opportunity. And I was one of, there was about 80 people employed in OTS, and there was 2 of us who actually went along to the Transcendental Meditation course. And it was great. It was sensational. So that's the visualization and meditation course from the early 80s. I didn't get much from, but the transcendental meditation stuff I still use today.
What technique did you start with? When you do your courses, do they do music or guided, or you just sit still with the breath? What did you first start?
Both courses, and then I later have done angel light yoga, meditation, and that all starts with breathing. Everywhere it starts with breathing. The breathing component is very important to get a rhythmic breathing. It helps calm you down, sets you up for relaxation, basically. From there, the transcendental meditation requires a mantra. Each person is given an individual mantra. It's supposed to be a Sanskrit word, but I'm not sure that it's a Sanskrit word or not. Anyway, I still have mine from when I did it in 2000. That's unique to each individual, given to you by your transcendental guru, so to speak. They come up with a word that's suitable for you, and then you use that as a mantra, and that puts you in your restive state with your breathing.
So have you changed techniques since you first started your journey, or are you still using the same?
Strangely enough, that visualization process of that I developed in the early 80s still is, I still use as an initiation. I don't use the mantra as much as I should, probably about twice a week. And I'm trying to get back to the actually going, okay, I need to do this 10 minutes every day. My techniques evolved. I'm not 100% with the silence because I tend to stray. That then requires me to use the mantra. The mantra stops you from straying. But if you just go into a meditative state with visualization, then I need something in the background. And the guided stuff is really good, except that I go to sleep in the guided stuff very easily.
For someone who never does meditation, how would you describe meditation to them? What is meditation? It's like
it's alignment of body, mind, and soul, basically. That brings with it an acceptance of things going on around you, a little bit of inner harmony. Inner peace is probably the better explanation. It's very easy to get caught up in day-to-day, oh, this is happening, and it's all overly enthusiastic or overly terrifying. The meditation process is one of putting things in perspective. You know, we are still here, basically.
what benefit did you found from meditation, and how does meditation improve your life?
Meditation was quite useful from the point of view of I had a chronic illness. The outcome of that was it was fatal, but I overcame a large number of issues in there, and they've actually given me a clean bill of health now. And I had a group of doctors travel up from Melbourne to find out what I had been doing to sustain myself, because I was in hospital in October, but they said technically I died in June, and they couldn't understand the differential of how I managed to survive that long. It all came back to meditation, the things I was doing. I was going to angel light yoga every week, and then spending time in meditation, and then had sort of like a spiritual healing with that meditation as well. That was very effective. The doctors in Melbourne were very interested that I ate apples and I didn't eat meat, etc., and had zero time for the meditation techniques. But from that point of view, an ongoing point of view, it at least the minimum it gives you is the feeling that you're working on yourself for a better self, working towards being the best version of you can be. Sitting down and just working and living life, quite often you don't feel like you're going anywhere. In fact, sometimes you feel like you're going backwards. Sitting down and meditating and spending that time on yourself, no matter what's going on in your life, gives you a center of things can improve in the future. I believe your intent, your mental intent, shapes your reality at the highest level. I've seen it even in teaching people to day trade, where we are all doing the same trades at the same time. And there are people who just feel like they don't deserve to make money. It's the strangest phenomenon, Vivian. And they can do the same trades. We can have a room full of people, 20 people, and you have 15 people who have one outcome and 5 people who have another outcome. And I've even seen it where we had a course, and I had this fellow join, and he paid quite a lot of money to do the course. And he said, you'll be hard pressed to be successful with me. I'm the unluckiest person in the world. And you know what? He was the unluckiest person in the world. And there was nothing I could do in my teaching of how to do the market could overcome his mental disposition of losing. The consequence is, and yet other people in the class 1, the consequence is that people who have mental disorders, as you say, literally work towards a negative point of view or a negative perception and even a negative intent. I've seen it in my own work where people come in wanting to see it fail because it can't be true. It becomes true for them. Anybody that you encounter like that, it is going to be true for them. And I see people who come in who want it to be true, and it is true for them.
If you can describe meditations in 3 words, how would you describe it?
Creative, colourful visualization.
Do you also do any journal? use crystal?
I use crystals. I have crystals, and I probably don't use them the way other people do. I do have mindful things in my office and where I work. So I've got, so amethyst crystal angel hangs around all over the place, and I've got a couple of those things, but not from the point of view of how people would use them for alignment, but just a reminder that we are more than the sum of our total parts. A crystal is generally more than the sum of its parts as well. Yep. It's a vibration.
Pure visualizations, can you give an example?
I've got a few. One of the visualizations that I had from a very early time meditation is trees in a forest I visited when I was young. Trees are there, and they tend to be very vivid colours, very strong greens and very strong bark colours and that. So it's a very colourful visualization, and it starts with the trees, but then light or lightning or a crooked beam of light, so it starts to join up the trees. So I visualize that they're there in their forest doing their forest things, and that energy is actually flowing to me, and then it travels across the distance between where I am and where the trees are. Then it starts to spread out from me. That's how I start a lot of the meditations, and that's a visualization that came to me in that very early period when I started meditation, and that was a guided meditation at the time. Thinking back on it, but that one has stayed with me. So
is that like to give you more energy from the tree and positive energy?
Yes, it links to all the trees. It links to all growing things, and then you could say from a certain point of view, it's a grounding energy. Can then be directed. So I visualize the energy, and then I visualize a direction, whether it be me or someone else or the universe at large. I become a conduit for that energy.
With stress, how do you find meditation has helped you with the stress with work or daily life?
One thing that it's done, it reduces high blood pressure, and that's a certainty. It helps you once again form a strength, an inner strength, so that you're actually preparing yourself for the world. And with that inner strength, it comes that you feel better from actually thinking that you're doing something, as to think from you're just pedaling the wheels and working and, living a relatively mundane life. It takes you away from the feeling of mundane and makes you feel centered.
Can I ask you a little bit about your yoga and how yoga has improved in your life?
I've done quite a few yoga courses and and attended yoga, and going to yoga at a health studio where there's a lot going on, and you're in a yoga class, and next door is the bouncing ball class, and across from there is the 150 kilo weightlifting class and all that sort of stuff. And I find that distracting. It's not yoga. There is simply an exercise. It's simply a matter of stretching muscles and that. And that I'd rate that at the least effective area of yoga, going into a gymnasium with 100 people and having a 20-person class in yoga is just an exercise class. From that, going to a very small group. And in Angel Light Yoga, we do a very small group of people. You start off in meditation, which is you lie down and you get your breathing right, and the breathing helps you put you into that restful state to start with. And then it's a very slow, almost Pilates style of yoga, and there's nothing too overwhelming about it. And so you're stretching, and then coming back from that, going back into the meditative state at the end. And I'd say that's at the upper scale of meditation. So that I find very effective. Great stimulus for the body and mind and spirit. And the, $10 gymnasium course is very, very ineffective, really.
The reason I ask that is a lot of people, especially male as well, they think, I'm not flexible enough. I don't I don't want to go to yoga.
Yeah.
I'm not flexible enough to go to yoga. But really, it's you go, then you will be a little bit more flexible than what you are now not going. Yeah.
Yeah. The health aspects of stretching and all that sort of stuff, fairly obvious. And the more you can do that, the better off you are.
Is there any books or audios or things that people that you come across that has resonated with you through your journey?
Okay, I bought a series of Australian wildlife CDs, and they're inexpensive, and it's just crickets at night time or the warble of a creek with kookaburras in the background and everything. And I found them very good, and or the sea, just the waves breaking on the thing. I find that very good from a meditation point of view. The other thing is, of course, some of the music, the dedicated meditation music is very good as well.
Thank you so much, Jody, for joining us today and sharing
No
your
problem.
wonderful journey.
Yep. Thanks, Vivian.